Jack Harlow's on the clock. What I mean by that is, picture someone just flipped an hourglass, and once all the sand finishes falling, that's Mr. Harlow's last chance to make it to the next level in his music career. So why was the hourglass pulled on him? Simple. Because he just dropped what many perceived to be a bad album. All the negative conversation around this album is the only reason I even know it exists. A lot of people over at twitch.tv/TheBlackHokage said in my chat that he dropped one of the worst albums of 2022. Next thing you know, the YouTube algorithm started suggesting me all these videos bashing the Kentucky MC. It became cool to hate Jack Harlow. Naturally, I became curious. I've been doing his YouTube stuff for a long time, and if it's one thing I know is that when creators see other creators hating on something and it's bringing in views, best believe those said creators will hop on the hate wave to increase the visibility of their own content. Look at the passing of Kevin Samuels. You got a famous pastor, a man with major influence who claims to be a messenger of God, celebrating the death of Mr. Samuels during one of his sermons. Why? Because he knew that name that he put in his mouth would put him in the conversation, and look where we are now, talking about it. Me, on the other hand, I don't allow others' opinions to affect my own, but with all this newfound hate for Jack Harlow, it did make me curious. It seems like this guy has been rap's new darling ever since he landed on the XXL cover. He could do no wrong. So I booted up the new album, Come Home, The Kids Miss You, and I had to see for myself. After several listens to the album from front to back, I've come to the conclusion that I know what his problem is. Some of it has nothing to even do with music, but I'll get to that later. Let's talk about the music. First things first, this album cover is just bad. It's just him sitting on a stool in an all-white room with a mic. It's lazy and an indication of what's to come from the music. The album is 15 songs long and it felt much longer. Reason being is it lacks soul. Sonically, this album is not terrible. The beats are cool, the mixing is fine. It's just Jack Harlow's biggest problem is he's all flash and no substance. The album is 45 minutes long and I couldn't tell you anything about Jack. Ironically, Jack and Daxter had more personality than Jack Harlow, and Jack from Jack and Daxter was a silent protagonist. An artist's story is crucial. It's especially crucial when it comes to hip-hop. Rap is the rose that grew from the cracks in the sidewalk. Being relatable is a key component to building a solid fan base, and there's nothing people love more than a good underdog story. Let's take a look at some of his white counterparts. Look at Eminem. He's white trailer trash from 8 Mile with an abusive mother. I don't relate to that, but someone does. I mean, he got his own movie based off of all of that. How about Bubba Sparks? He gave his perspective of rap from the lens of a comedic dirt road country boy. And then there's Slim Jesus, the guardian of Frank Block, a true American hero. They all have some type of story and branding tied to them. Jack's branding is, he's cool. What else? The sad reality is Jack benefits from what I call the Elvis effect. Whenever white people partake in black culture and they're decent at it, black people hype it up. And honestly, I don't even know why. It's the great white hope syndrome. If Jack was black, he'd be considered another average rapper. This album has quotables, but they're mostly corny. It's actually jarring to hear. He comes across as such a calm, confident dude, but if you actually listen to the lyrics in the album, I'm not gonna lie, it's straight corny. Track 4, he says in First Class, I don't care what frat you was in, you can't alpha me. Corny. Track 6, Side Piece. It doesn't matter if you vaxxed or not, girl. Either come to me or I'm gonna come to your block. This man just bragged about risking COVID for coochie. Corny. Track 10, Churchill Downs. We about to feed these youngins to the metaverse. Was that supposed to sound tough? Am I supposed to feel threatened? Corny. But let's bring it back to First Class. A snippet of this song went viral on TikTok because it samples the classic Fergie song Glamorous. The song is complete smoke and mirrors. The little snippets that you heard on social media are the best part of the song. The verses are terrible. This happens all throughout the album too. There's several major samples that obviously pay homage to older records, and when you take this route, you gotta understand, it's a double-edged sword. You're gonna pull in that older fan base because of the familiarity, but if you don't deliver a good remake on one of their favorite songs, you just end up looking dumb. You basically failed an open book test. One of the best songs on this album is a single we've already heard, Nail Tech. But the biggest tragedy from this project is the best song on it is Churchill Downs featuring Drake. Now why is this bad? Because he got bodied on his own song. Drake straight outclassed him. He was on some Mafia Don type vibes. Honestly, this is one of the best Drake verses that I've heard in a while. Churchill Downs sounds like a Drake song featuring Jack Harlow. The problem is, this is Jack Harlow's album. It's the only song that I added to my playlist Fit for a Hokage on Spotify, which you should follow, by the way. The best way I can sum up Come Home, The Kids Miss You is it's quality background noise. The internet made it seem like Jack Harlow dropped something akin to what Ice JJ Fish would do. I disagree. The beats are fine, the mixing is fine, everything here is just fine. It's a painfully average album. What I think makes it seem so much worse than what it is how he positioned himself as hip-hop's new darling. I'm getting prima donna vibes here. You can't just carry yourself like you're great. You had to deliver greatness and do it consistently, especially since he's had a couple slip-ups on social media recently. People are looking for a reason to hate you, Jack. That's what I was alluding to earlier in this video. He recently was caught in some drama for playing with a camera woman's camera settings during an NBA playoff game and then posting it on his social media. He caught a lot of flack on Twitter for it. People thought it was immature and rude to mess with someone who was just trying to do their job, and I'll be honest, I tend to agree. Look, Jack, this is me talking to you, man to Saiyan. Cut all the antics out and focus on your craft. Put some substance behind your music and you can correct the course. Hopefully Jack learns this lesson sooner than later. Otherwise, you gonna fall into obscurity like the dozens of other rappers who come and go every year. But hey, I'm just saying.